All right, guys, after hiking for a good chunk of the day, many miles, we made it to this weird, remote, kind of freak of nature spot in the mountains. So, at this spot right here, good morning, it is 4:07 a.m. Let's get going. It's 4:58 now. Welcome to the Trailhead. That was weird. It is 6:51 in the morning now, and we have sunrise. And welcome to what I hope will be a very long but very successful day in the mountains. I've been hiking for nearly 2 hours now, and man, those horses. Wasn't that weird? So I was just hiking and I heard these bells up ahead of me. I was like, what on earth is that? Are those like sheep grazing? Is that cattle somewhere? But then it was getting closer like pretty quick. And so I stepped off the trail and these like, I don't know, 6 or 8 horses with bells on just came running down the trail. Nearly got trampled by a herd of horses stampeding toward me, so that was interesting. The first hour that I hiked was basically all in the dark, so I just hiked by headlamp, and that was fine. You know, I was a little bit hesitant because this is pretty intense bear country. The start of this hike was only about 6 miles east of Grand Teton National Park. The place we're hiking to, that's like 13.5 miles away or something like that. That's only a handful of miles from Yellowstone National Park, so lots of wildlife, lots of bears, both grizzly and black bears in this area. But it was fine, and now that the sun is, you know, up a little bit, at least in this little section here, I think I'm gonna go back into the forest in like 50 feet that way. Now that the sun is up, you know, I feel better about the whole bear situation. And look at this beautiful view we have, again, of the sun coming up over that ridge right there, and then that beautiful meadow down there, and then some great mountain scenery over there. It's a beautiful morning. And I think this is fresh bear poop. This is my first 30-mile day of hiking in probably 8 or 9 years. As far as I can remember, I've done 2 other 30-mile hiking days before. One was in Death Valley National Park. I think I even made a video about that one. It was an early video in the channel. Probably not very good, but I'll link to it down below if you guys want to see it. And then 10 years ago, I hiked, it was like 36 miles in a day in the Cascades. I climbed Glacier Peak in Washington in a day, and it was just a brutal day. It was awesome. And so it's been a while. And man, I have to stop and show you that meadow view again. It opened up a little bit more. Isn't that amazing? We have this pretty little creek right here, and the meadow continues on over this way. Also, this guy is very curious, wondering what I'm doing here. I'm making pretty good time today. I'm happy with my progress. I've been hiking for 2 hours and I've gone 5.4 miles. My plan was to hike minimum 2 miles per hour. I figure I could do that for 16 or 17 hours and I'd do the entire thing. But I think I should be able to do it quicker than that. I'm hoping we can get back to the car when there's still some daylight left. Check it out, we are on the CDT, the Continental Divide Trail that runs from Mexico to Canada. And I've been hiking on this trail right here. The CDT just came in from this side. And I'm gonna be continuing on the CDT for the rest of the hike here. And I know I haven't yet told you what exactly it is we're hiking to, and I'm not gonna spoil the surprise quite yet. I will say that it is kind of a small and semi-obscure, but really interesting, really unique natural wonder. I just crested this little ridge right here, and the valley on the other side opened up. This is our first look at the valley over here. This is the North Buffalo Fork River, I think that's what it's called. And so for the next several miles, we're gonna be hiking along the valley here. And it just started raining. Can you guys see that? If it stays just a little light drizzle, little sprinkle like this, then that's fine. Not a big deal at all. If it gets worse, I'll either stop and hunker down under some trees for a little bit. Hopefully it'll pass over. And if it continues, then I'll get my rain jacket out and keep hiking in the rain. And I'm already wet from sweating, so a little bit more moisture won't hurt too much. And yeah, just a few minutes later, the rain stopped, so that's lucky. And throughout this hike, I've seen a lot of this sort of thing. And this is from horses. They're kind of like, nature's ATVs. They kind of do a number on the trails and the landscape. But anyway, I wanted to show you something here. I just passed 3 hours of hiking. Been hiking for 3 hours and 59 seconds, 7.8 miles. I'm at 7,700 feet. I've gained about 1,100 feet in elevation. This is the Gaia app, by the way. Now that I've done a few hours of hiking here, I think my goal is going to be 2.5 miles an hour on average. We'll see if I can maintain that, especially if I stop to have lunch or something, then that'll eat into the time, but roughly 2.5 miles an hour. And another thing I don't like about horses in the backcountry is that they don't wear diapers and they don't get cleaned up after. And so there is ample evidence of them all over the trail, and so it just smells like horse out here, which I don't love. It's raining again. You can see all the little water droplets on the river. Man, I bet there's good fishing in here. I bet this doesn't get fished all that often. Because, we're nearly 10 miles back into the backcountry. So I think we're gonna keep hiking along the valley here, and then up here maybe, we're turning left and we're gonna leave this valley and go into another one. Take a look at these little guys. Grouse, is that what these are? I've been keeping my eyes peeled for interesting wildlife and really haven't seen a whole lot. This guy is just walking up the trail ahead of me. There he goes. As far as bigger animals, it's just been those deer that I saw, an hour ago. No moose, no bear, no elk, nothing like that. Oh, I did just spot some geese on the far side of the river. Over yonder. Water filtering time. As usual, I have my Sawyer squeeze filter and a couple of water bottles. I've had just 1 liter of water so far. That's lasted me this time. I started off the hike with a full liter of water. But I just ran out, and right as that happened, I ran across that little, looks like a little spring-fed creek. So it was good timing. This is a beautiful valley up here. I'm enjoying this. Even though the weather isn't amazing and it's kind of dark and gloomy, it's beautiful. And I do like that it's been cloudy. Of course, as I say that, the sun comes out. I like that it's been cloudy because that keeps it cool. Because, you know, it could be a roaster if the sun is shining right on you. We just ticked past 4 hours. I've gone 10.4-ish miles. And I do have a little bit more information about the horses that we saw this morning, the ones that kind of rampaged past me in the dark. Just back there, a guy on a horse stopped me and was like, "Hey, have you seen some horses?" I was like, "Yeah, did they have bells on?" He said, "Yep." I was like, "Yeah, that was like 3.5 hours ago. That was 10 miles ago." He was like, "Oh man, I thought I was right on their tail." So I don't know how that's gonna end up. I hope he gets the horses back. I hope the horses find their owner at some point, but it might take a while. I should have asked him what happened. I didn't, but it sounds like they just took off in the middle of the night. We've got another trail fork here. The left is a continuation of the Continental Divide Trail. That is where we are headed. This continues north. And again, this goes up, does some climbing up to the next valley over that way. And then this cuts east farther into the mountains over there. And I've been thinking about those horses, and I'm sad. I feel bad for them. You know, I was kind of railing against horses earlier for pooping all over the trail and destroying the trail, but you know, that's not their fault. They're just doing their horse thing. So it's sad to think of them lost and afraid in the forest, in the dark, far from home. And whenever I see at home a lost dog or lost cat sign, my heart breaks a little bit. You know, these poor little domestic animals fighting for their lives out in the big bad world. It's sad. I hope the horse story ends well. Five-hour update. I've gone 13.1 miles, and once again I've crested a hill and I can see a good chunk of the rest of the hike, I think. We are heading into yet another valley that's kind of out here, and I think that our ultimate destination is somewhere up against the mountain over here, so we're getting close. I haven't really stopped much this whole time. I mean, I stopped to filter water and to talk to a couple people, but apart from that, I've just been going and I feel good, I feel strong, but I am getting a little bit hungry, so I want a sandwich. I have a lot of food on this hike, guys. I brought a ton of food because I wasn't sure how long I'd be out here for, wasn't sure what I'd be in the mood for, but right now, I'm in the mood for a peanut butter Nutella sandwich. I want some sugar. I'm like craving the sugar, so gonna snack on that while I hike, and we'll bang out these last few miles to where we want to go. I found that for me it's important to have not just quantity. I mean, quantity of food is important, but variety of food is important, because sometimes I'm on a hike like this and I feel like eating one thing, but I've already eaten all that I had of that one thing, you know? And so I've got 3 of these peanut butter Nutella sandwiches. I have 2/3 of a pizza. I have a bunch of nuts and fruit bars and all kinds of stuff. I'm definitely not gonna eat it all, but again, it's good to have options. Oh, look at these guys. 2 really big birds just landed in the meadow over here. What are they? I'm not a bird person. I have no idea what the different birds are, so I will look it up and I'll put it on the screen here. They look like dinosaurs. Look at this guy. Is that a pine marten? That is so cool. He's just like 10 feet from me. Thought it was a squirrel at first. Those birds just took off. They're making a racket out there. Wow. He's a curious little guy. He's so cute. Could probably bite my hand off, but wow. Check this out. So I was just hiking along and I heard some water. I looked over and saw this beautiful little waterfall. It's maybe 20 or 25 feet high. Not huge, but it's good enough. Got a nice big pool at the base. What a nice surprise. And now the sun has come out, we have beautiful blue skies. What a great day. Just wandering through the wilderness without a care in the world. Apart from, you know, making sure I don't get mauled by a bear, making sure I have enough food and water, making hopefully a at least somewhat decent video for you guys, hiking 30 whatever miles without my feet or my hips or my knees going out. You know, apart from that, not a care in the world. All right, guys, after 17 miles, more than 17 miles, and more than 6.5 hours, we made it. As far as I know, there is no other spot like this in the country, maybe even the world. I don't know, you'll have to let me know if there is another spot like this. But at this spot, this one creek right here that comes down from this way, this one creek splits right here. This is called the parting of the waters. And there's a sign over here. Let's go take a look at it. From this one spot, this one creek, water can flow to both sides of the Continental Divide. It can go into the Atlantic Ocean, about 3,500 miles to the left, and the Pacific Ocean, 1,353 miles to the right. The Continental Divide, of course, is the ridge of mountains where on one side all the water that falls eventually makes its way into the Pacific Ocean. That's on the west side of the divide. And then all the water that falls on the east side of the divide eventually makes its way into the Atlantic Ocean or the waters connecting to it. I've been looking around trying to find the actual spot where they split. I think it might be this right here. So I think this is Atlantic Creek, that little guy right there. And then all of this is called Pacific Creek. Eventually Pacific Creek here flows into the Snake River, which eventually flows into the Columbia River, which flows into the Pacific Ocean in Washington. And then Atlantic Creek, I believe that goes into the Yellowstone River, eventually somewhere here in Wyoming. And then that goes into the Missouri River, which flows into the Mississippi River. And so experts think that it's via this creek that Yellowstone cutthroat trout were able to cross over the Continental Divide and then populate Yellowstone Lake. And so from this spot, there is an unbroken line of water that actually crosses the continent, crosses the Continental Divide, starting again in the Pacific Ocean, up a series of rivers to this creek here, up and over right here, and then down into this other creek. That is just insane to me. And so in this area, you'll also see names like Two Ocean Pass, which is the broad pass just below this point. I think there's a Two Ocean Plateau, there's Two Ocean Lake over in Grand Teton National Park, all because of this spot. I love interesting little geography tidbits like this, little quirks of nature. Another one that this reminds me of is a mountain in Canada. I think it's called Triple Divide Peak. And instead of a continental divide where there are 2 watersheds, at that spot there are 3, where depending on where the water falls on that mountain, the water will flow into the Atlantic, the Pacific, or the Arctic Ocean. And then actually not too far from here, there's a kind of a lesser Triple Divide peak. It's sort of at the northern end of the Wind River range, kind of by Union Pass. We're actually gonna be in that area tomorrow. And I forget what the 3 drainages are. They're pretty distinct drainages, but it's not 3 oceans like that one up in Canada. Let's see, I think I'm gonna have a cookie to celebrate. Then if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I have some Gatorade that I've been saving for this special occasion. Also, this sign looks brand spanking new. I did pass a trail crew doing some work on the trail about a mile back here, so maybe they brought this thing up. In previous pictures that I've seen, I think the sign has been on these trees, if I'm not mistaken. I love places like this that are a very exact, very pinpointable spot on the map. Like at this spot, precisely, you can look at it on a map. This is where the 2 creeks diverge. I think that's partly why I also enjoy climbing mountains so much, because it's like you see a mountain on the map, and then when you're on top of that mountain, you are at that precise, that pinpoint, exact location. I don't know why, but that's just very satisfying for me. We're gonna wrap this up here, this part of the video. I'm not gonna really film too much on the way down, except if I see wildlife. I just talked to a couple of CDT hikers who are doing the whole thing. They're going southbound. And I asked them if they'd seen any interesting wildlife, which is really my way of asking, have you seen any bears? And they've only seen 1 on their entire hike. They started like a couple months ago, month and a half ago, something like that. They've seen a few moose and some elk, but yeah, nothing too crazy. Which makes me feel even luckier that I saw that little pine marten today. That was so cool, or whatever that was. It's been a good day. I'm having a great time. And here are the stats, by the way, from the first half of the hike. 17.04 miles, 6 hours, 34 minutes, 2,136 feet of elevation gain. And we're only about 6 miles as the crow flies from Yellowstone National Park over here. That was a lot of fun. What a neat place, what a fun adventure this is. Like I said, I'm gonna just take off and head back to the car. We'll see how long it takes. I'll see you guys once I get there, I guess, or at camp or in town or something. I don't know. Depends on how long this takes me. I'm guessing it'll take me about the same amount of time it took me to get there in the first place. Welcome to tonight's campsite in an almost painfully beautiful place. Just look at this, especially with the sun the way it is now about to set behind that mountain over there. And it's so quiet, there's no wind. What a beautiful spot. Also, there's some sort of little weather antenna or weather station right there above the campsite. Kind of interesting. So, I made it out of the mountains. The final distance tally is 33.76 miles. One of the top, I think, 3 longest hiking days I've ever had as far as distance goes. And I learned a few things. And I just went looking for a chair that I usually have in the back of my car, but I couldn't find it. So I think I'm just gonna sit on the ground here. I'm a little bit tired of being on my feet, as you can probably understand. So, today was not too bad, believe it or not. 34 miles. I felt pretty darn good until the last, couple of miles, and then my feet started to hurt. But apart from that, the entire day, my feet, my legs, my lungs, I felt great. And so I think that if you did want to go on a hike specifically to get big mileage, it's good to have a non-rocky trail. For the most part, the trail today was not that rocky, except for the part close to the trailhead. Again, that last couple of miles was a little bit rocky. And then second, elevation gain. I haven't run the numbers yet. I don't know exactly how many vertical feet of elevation gain there was today. I'm guessing like 3,000, something like that. That's pretty good. Like, that's not a whole lot, especially when, that's spread out over 33 miles. The days when I've done, 5,000 or 6,000 vertical feet of climbing, that's when it really takes it out of you. Like, that is hard hiking. That is difficult hiking. And so today really didn't feel too bad. I think I could do a 40-mile day, and I think I might try that next year. I turn 40 next year, and so one of the several things that I already have planned that I want to do next year is to hike 40 miles in a day. My mind is already turning. I'm already scheming, already planning, thinking about what that hike could be, but we'll have to wait for another year to really put that one to the test. Also, good news, the horses were found. I ran into that guy who lost his horses this morning. I was almost back at the trailhead. Like, he was out there all day looking for his horses, but he eventually found them and they were fine. And so, happy ending to that story. And as far as other wildlife, I didn't really see much on the way back. I saw 2 snakes, and they moved too fast for me to get a good video of them. But 2 little, like, black and white snakes. I don't know what they were, but yeah, overall, it was great. So now let's talk about that hike today. Was it worth it? Is it worth doing? The scenery was good, but it wasn't like top tier scenery. It was maybe like a 7 out of 10. It was pretty. And I enjoyed all the water. There were lots of streams along the way and a few different rivers, and that was all great. But this area is better. This is where we were yesterday in the Absaroka Mountains. And this part of the Absarokas is just more dramatic, more rugged than what we saw for all of today. And so there's that to consider. But I'm really glad I did it because I loved going to the Parting of the Waters. That place has been on my list for years. So I have a map that I keep that has a bunch of the points of interest, the things that I want to see and do on it, the things that I haven't done. And that spot, that point, has been there maybe as long as this channel has been around. It's been there for a long time. And so, yeah, it was totally worth it for me. I don't know if I necessarily recommend it for you. One thing that I did think was interesting was that there was a lot of hiker traffic out there today because I was hiking on the Continental Divide Trail for most of the day. And this is like prime CDT hiking season right now, the middle of summer. I saw probably, at least 30 hikers going in both directions, maybe more. And compare that with the number of hikers that I normally see on my adventures, which is closer to 0. It makes it harder to justify that sort of thing, that hike in particular. But I'm glad I did it. I also wouldn't be opposed to going back in the future and going fishing in there because, again, tons of rivers and streams back in that area. One thing that was kind of a downside for me was all of the horse traffic. And not even the traffic itself, but it just smelled like horse poop the entire hike, and like it kind of got to me. The last quarter of the hike, I was kind of over it. I was ready to not smell that anymore. But again, overall, combine the Parting of the Waters with all the cool wildlife we saw. I think the pine marten was probably the highlight for me, but also the big birds, cranes, sandhill cranes? Is that what they're called? That just came to my mind. I think they're sandhill cranes, maybe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this 33 and whatever mile long journey that we did today. I feel good, I'm content, and I'm ready to get back to some driving through these mountains tomorrow. Should be fun. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite part was. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.